Welcome back to Open Comments with me, Ash.
And me, Oliver.
Joining us today from the Open Group Houston Summit is Roberto Severo, Country Manager for the Open Group, covering Brazil, Colombia, and Peru. Thank you, Roberto, for joining us today for this episode. We look forward to diving into your career journey so far, career advice, and much more.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to this podcast. It's a great initiative. I appreciate it a lot.
Well, thank you for coming, and we're glad that we're able to meet up in Houston. So I guess to begin with, Roberto, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved with the Open Group,
Yes.
and maybe your life before?
Sure. Yes, I used to work in the corporate world, and my formation is technical. I used to code, actually, in C++, and things like that. I was a nerd, actually. I started programming or coding when I was 13 in 1981. And since it was clear that IT was I was toward IT more than anything else, and I started to work in companies with IT, and that time we had very, very particular languages like Clipper, high-level languages as well, so low-level language like C, C++, and assembler like this. And then I'm going to evolve in my career, and I used to code and when as a consulting person too, and I used to go to companies. They are customers of our consulting company, and code there and make consulting, but very technical, very technical. And in 2001, I moved. I used to work in 2000. I used to work for a Linux distro, call it Conectiva, in Curitiba, Brazil, and the south side of Brazil. And it was the first time I get in touch with open software and free software as well. And I was really, really engaged with the cause of free software and open software. So after Conectiva, I went to São Paulo, which is my hometown. São Paulo, was born in São Paulo, city of São Paulo. And then I go back to São Paulo and started working for a bank, medium bank, call it Unibanco. And one time, a crazy manager, I had a woman, very smart woman, as I reported to, and architecture was brand new, very, very new thing, not implemented by other companies. And this woman, this manager I had, said, I want to start an architecture area here in the bank. Would you like to join us? I said, oh, okay, why not? I don't know how to implement architecture at that time. I didn't know how to implement it. But I said, okay, let's do it. So we made a lot of mistakes and right things, of course. And then I spent 10 years in the finance area, working for banks, credit card acquirers, and companies that touches finance. And now we enter in the open group thing. I was a little bit wasted of the corporate life, the same protocols everywhere, the same politics everywhere. you change the stage, but you have the same show every time. And then I had a chapter of Association of Enterprise Architecture in São Paulo, and I used to go to events like this. The first one was in Boston, and Birgit, who was the general manager of AEA, invited me to create a chapter in Brazil, and I accepted and started to work for AEA. And frequently I went to events of the Open Group, attend conferences, quarterly conferences, and working somewhere. And one day, I remember Steve Nunn wasn't the president, it was Alan Brown. And I say, okay, I'm going to talk to this guy. And I offer myself for working for the Open Group in Brazil. And we had a dinner, and Steve Nunn was working in legal, and he was there too. And 1 month after that, they invited me to join the Open Group team, and here I am.
So how long has that been?
It was in 2012. So I have almost 13 years. No, actually 12 years of Open Group.
Wow.
Very happy. I never thought I could spend more than 10 years in one single company, and now I can imagine not working for the Open Group. Things change. So I'm very happy here.
Amazing. And staying on that track, can you describe some of the main challenges you faced leading the
Oh, I could write a book on this. Because we have a lot of barriers in Brazil. The first one is the language. Guys, we speak Portuguese, not Spanish in Brazil, okay? And the capital is Brasilia, okay? And Brazil is a very peculiar place. And things that work in US or in England doesn't work in Brazil. So we have to adopt the, okay, your presence must be global, but your act locally. So we have some peculiarities we have to do in Brazil that also doesn't work don't work in US or in England. So we had to adapt things to work. I think other offices around the world also had to do that. India or China, it's the same. But I was alone, and then I had to make it happen in Brazil. And at that time, we had a few industry forums. Only the main forum was, at the time I joined it, was Architecture Forum, and then Archimate. But that's it.
Would you also say adapting has helped you to stay resilient as well throughout the whole process?
Sure. I really, working for the work group, I have to thank to working here, and I had a great report history of great guys that helped me to some soft skills like resilience, like empathy, things that you really don't learn, but you just wake up for this. And I found myself with a lot of soft skills that I didn't know I had. I discovered that I like people, I like persons, and which is very difficult in the corporate life. And yes, the adaptation learned me a lot of things, in resilience included.
So you mentioned, well, obviously you've been at the Open Group for 12 years now. What kind of changes have you seen over the time? You talked about when you first started things over in Brazil, it was Archimate and Architecture that were the two big forums, but things are changing now, aren't they?
Yeah, a lot. And but for better. It's like it's evolution, you know. And this when it comes to adaptation, it was very important to adapt to the industry. For example, when it started, we had a few forums, and things start to change when the Open Group started to look at the industry and started to develop more industry-centric forums. And I can say to you, the real big change was the OPAF, the Open Process Automation Forum. After OPAF, was a turning point for the Open Group, I think. I was talking to Steve Nunn yesterday about that. That was a turning point. A flood of new members came to the Open Group. And after that, OSDU was a big change. 10 years ago, you could not imagine one oil and gas operator talking to the other oil and gas operator in the same table. Okay, it was bloody war. But no, not with the Open Group. We say, okay, when you pass this door, everyone is friend, okay? When you go out, you can kill yourselves. In the market, of course. And now we have OFP that is going. Actually, we talk about the same thing, which is data, and we have a very good model for automation, very good model for OSDU Surface Forum, and now very good model for Open Footprint. And I can see we are on the right track now, and let's keep evolving.
Why do you think that is the right track? Is that just relevant to what's going on in Brazil? Within those areas of those?
Yes, because I think companies also learned how to work with the Open Group, Brazil included, any company. They learned how to work with the Open Group, learned how to request things and start forums with the Open Group, and the benefits they have having the Open Group together. And for example, this industry thing, as you know, every forum comes from the market, comes from our members. We don't create anything. We're like Google. We don't create content. We just have a good process, good artifacts, good process actually, and implement that. And we make a mediation with the stakeholders, the members. So if you have two members, you are able to create a work group, and then maybe to transform into a forum. As I think we're still learning, and I think it's not particular in Brazil, but globally the market is learning how to work with open standards and the benefits of working for open standards. As I said, I used to work for an open software company, a Linux distro, and I learned to think with openness and with free software and things like that. And we have we as Open Group, we have this kind of DNA, That's it.
Would you say that's what motivates you maybe to stay on another 12 years? Things are always changing.
Yeah. I can tell you about now. I don't know what's going to happen in 1 to 5 years, but I can tell you, Oliver, now I love to work for the Open Group. I never thought I could before, in the 2000 decade. I never thought I could work for a single company for more than 10 years. And now I can't imagine how to work outside the Open Group, because I really like the way they treat our staff with respect. And I work in Brazil, and I give some updates online to my report today. I have a very nice report history. Persons, like I started reporting to Paul Hickey. You didn't know that? Did you know him?
I've never met him, but I know him.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he passed away, and Paul Hickey was the first person in the Open Group I get in touch to report to. And then I went to report to Alan Brown directly. And then I went to Jim Hietala, very good report person to do. And now with Mike Hickey. So I go back to the Hickey family. So first dad, and now I report to his son, Mike Hickey. And this always, I'm fortunate that I have good persons I reported to.
Would you also say, within your career and your journey with the Open Group, the people that you've met have really made a difference in terms of, not only network with, but you also collaborated with, like, team members, colleagues, that helps you to, stay, I guess, knowledge-wise as fresh as possible, but also learn from different people and continue to learn that passion and excitement is, still there to today as well, for sure.
Sure, Ash. I really do that. I did that because, and first, I had to learn to forget things. Okay. And I had to learn how to learn with people. Because I have some I'm a single son, so I never collaborated too much. I didn't have a brother, and so I had to learn some aspects of collaboration in the corporate world, into a company, and something to improve. I had something to improve, and of course the Open Group helped me a lot, because we have to accept some differences and not force yourself to accept, just accept.
Acknowledging everyone's opinions and, their thought points per se, but also giving them not only the floor to express themselves, but also letting them express themselves in a way that they feel open to do so, and then bringing your point across as well.
Yes, that's all you said. It's true. I learned a lot of things with the Open Group, to accept opinions, and there's one way of thinking created in Greece many centuries ago, which is called Stoicism. Who thinks that way are Stoics, and Marco Aurelio and things like that. And great message they pass to you is how to not suffer with things that you don't have control. So basically, this is stoicism. Okay, if something happened and you did your best, your part, your best, and it happened, you don't have to suffer. I have small and big examples. For example, when I came here to Houston, I was planning to bring some pins with the Brazilian flag, because we have 25 Brazilians here. And it's a lot. So to identify them, I think it would be a great thing to do. And I find out that the Amazon in US, those Brazilian flag was cheaper than in Brazil. So what I did, I bought it and asked them to deliver it in the locker. They didn't come. So you don't see my Brazilian flag. And I learned I didn't have control over this.
Yeah.
I don't have to suffer. This is a small thing, okay? There are big things like we recruit members. I work for business development here, and we recruit members, and sometimes they cancel. And in the beginning, when they canceled, I tended to suffer a little bit. But they have their reasons. And I didn't have nothing to do. And it's totally out of my control. So why am I going to suffer with that? Let's go to work and get more members.
Yeah.
That's it. So I learned that this way of thinking came up after working with the Open Group.
So you may not have had the badges, but you mentioned you've got a record number of Brazilian members in attendance.
Yeah. That's right. Yes, I'm very. Allow me to say, Oliver, that I'm very happy here in Houston because I feel the evolution of the Brazilian office. 25 attendees from different companies, a tabletop, the first Brazilian tabletop in events, Open Group events. Tomorrow we're going to have a hands-on workshop with our member, Smar, on OPAF, which is the standard of OPAF. And, well, I can say I'm really happy with the performance of Brazilian office today. Okay, I don't know tomorrow, but today I'm happy.
Okay, so for those, perhaps either maybe those changing their careers or those looking to start their careers, what kind of advice pass on for getting involved in the areas that you are involved in?
What kind of?
Advice.
Advice. Okay, I'm 57 years old, so I have a good experience in the corporate world, and I would advise to really, when you pick your track in your career, consider that your salary is not the only way of payment. You have respect. You have priceless aspects, like respect, a friendly place to work, and you have a lot of things here in the Open Group. It's not only finance things. I know many countries. This is good. I know many people. I improved my networking, and so be sure that you're going to a company that only pay your salary, but don't give you happiness and satisfaction of wake up every morning and go to work.
Yeah,
I think
satisfaction
satisfaction is one
the key thing.
is the key thing, for sure.
I think something similar other guests said, to paraphrase them all, if you're not doing what you love, you're not going to do it forever.
Yes, that's it. Perfect saying. Yes.
And the passion for what you do certainly comes across. You can tell, your eyes literally sparkle when you talk about what you do. So that's amazing, that you have that, not only that longevity, but also just that continuous learning, but continuous passion. And so the continuous yearning to keep on growing, not only from others, but even if you don't know a lot about a particular area or you want to know more about an area, it's never too late, it's never too early.
Never.
Possibilities are endless.
Never.
So,
Never.
age doesn't have a number.
Yes.
As cliche as that is, but it's true.
My first job wasn't in IT. It didn't involve computers or technology. In the very beginning, in the 80s, I used to sell records, music records in a music store. Like we had Tower Records, you remember that? I don't know if you heard about it. It was based, I think, in California. And it was a building only. So my dream was to work for the Tower Records. And I started selling records, and I was totally open to what's coming. And I learned also to know my principles and to get attached to my principles. Because this is another advice for young people starting working. Know your principles, something that you're not give up. Some things you have to agree and maybe open your hand and say, okay, let's do it your way. But when it comes to principles, no, I say no. For example, if a client comes to me and say, okay, give me a discount and something like that, and I give you something in change. No, this is my principle. You have to get attached to your principle, otherwise you're not going to succeed.
And there's not necessarily even in your work life. Assuming you probably stand by your principles.
Yes.
But,
it serves to everything. And it's an interesting point, Oliver, because as I said, like TOGAF, you can implement TOGAF in your life. What your how do you think you're going to be in 5 years? So this is your vision. And then you start the ADM and passing through what you have to do in your life to achieve this vision, and pass through. And you can use a toga for your life. And what usually works for your work usually works for your life too. It's a question of principles.
And to not get hung up on the things you do.
Well, yes, that's it. Let's start thinking. Yes, I read some books on this and helped me a lot, and put in practice with the open group was really, really good. Very good.
Okay, similar to the saying as well, don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah. And so you know, the open group is not open only in the name. So you're very flexible. We are very flexible with our staff. the dress code, who you are. And this is very important, very important. And this part of you get every month and it's not your salary. And it's very difficult to have. You can have a 6-digit salary, but you're not happy with something that's not touchable. And I have it here. That's why I love to work for Open Group. I think the Open Group selects people with a great criteria about not only technical questions, points, and not salary, but with those important things. You have to match the DNA.
Well, thank you, Roberto, for joining us today on Open Comments. It has been great hearing all about you, your career journey, advice, and your involvement in the Open Group so far. We hope our listeners, Open Comments community, took a lot from this episode as much as we have, and thank you. Until next time, stay safe and keep a lookout for the next Open Comments episode coming soon. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, and feel free to call me another time or often. It will be a pleasure.